Episode 5, Extreme Measures. And it is your boy Icon with Netflix review for Cobra Kai. I don't know why I'm doing that. So this episode starts. This particular episode starts. Let's just get this one out the way because it was pretty damn cool. Johnny is trying to get Miguel and Robbie to come together. He's trying to get them to settle their differences and be a family. And he ended up, going old school Johnny on them. And he put them in a situation where, and I thought that was weird because he told them, he said, listen, you two got beef, and since the two of you can't get along, then let's get it on, and you're gonna fight like right here. And even I was like, wait, like right here, like on the concrete, on the ground, like right here where there are railings and doors, and we're on like the second or third floor. I was like, that's a bad idea, and that's typical classic Johnny. So the two of them start fighting, and it was badass. Like, this is the fight this is the rematch we've all been waiting to see. And it was very back and forth. It was a pretty even match. There was a moment where Robbie actually got some real good shots in. And then it got to the point where it reached the danger zone where the two of them ended up going upstairs onto the balcony. And then that's when Johnny started freaking out because he was just like, hold up. And when it got to the point where like they were fighting, Miguel had Robbie up against the railing, and then that's when he started having flashbacks of the season 2 school brawl where he got kicked over the railing and then he damaged his spine. So in that moment, Robbie thought he was going over the cliff, and then but in that moment when Miguel had flashbacks of that moment, he stopped. And then when Robbie asked him, he was like, why did you hold back? He said, because I didn't join. He said, I didn't, do karate to hurt people. He said, that's not why I got into, karate. He's like, I wasn't trying to hurt people. The whole thing about him going over the railing, he was like, I don't want that for you. And then that's when, Robbie was just like, well, he was like, I didn't want to do that. He was like, I was just so angry back then. And he said, I know that was the worst day of your life, but it was also the worst day of mine. And then it turned this whole big thing. And now they're friends, like now it's all gravy. Johnny told him about the baby, and then it was all good. They were all at dinner together. Carmen came home, and then now we're one big happy family. So Daniel now, he's going off the rails because him and his boy Joe, they're going around trying to figure out how they can take down Terry Silva. And while they're trying to take down Terry Silva, Daniel got a random note put in his mailbox with a picture of the Stingray, who said that he got beat up by Sensei Kreese, like in the last season, and the words liar was written over it. Cho was telling, Daniel, he was like, oh, we should look into this. He's like, we should look into this. But at that point, Daniel had kind of been ready to throw in the towel because he was going all around the city going crazy, losing his mind, trying to figure out how he could take down, like Cobra Kai and take down Terry Silver. And then when nobody wanted to help him because when they went to Stingray's house to try to get him to help, Stingray, he was basically, because he got paid off by Terry Silver. Terry Silver gave him money. He gave him his own apartment. He gave him a PlayStation. Hell, he even gave him Johnny's old car. And, he bought his silence. Like, he pretty much bought his silence. And then when Daniel realized that he wasn't going to help him because, he got paid off, the only person he could think of that could help him at that point was Johnny. So he goes to Johnny's house to try to talk to Johnny. And then he's just like, listen, you got to help me take down Terry Silver. And then John's like, yo, I ain't doing that shit no more. He was like, yo, my son's out of Cobra Kai. He was like, Miguel's not a part of Cobra Kai. He was like, he's like, Sensei Kreese is in prison. He was like, yo, I'm good. He's like, everything that I wanted, he's like, yo, it's all gravy on this end. But he was just like, but then that's when Daniel got mad because he was like, first of all, you're the one that started all this shit to begin with. And he was right. But then it was a moment where like Daniel literally challenged him to a fight. He butched up on him and he was like, yo, let's do this. And to surprise, like how the tables have indeed turned, Johnny was the one that paused and he was like, what are you doing, bro? He's like, this isn't you. You're going crazy. He was like, yo, tell me what's the real problem? What's the real situation? And then Daniel was just like, well, shit. He was like, if you're telling me that I've gone off the rails, then like, I know it's bad because you're Mr. Strike First, ask questions later. And then the two of them actually had a very adult, like heart-to-heart talk. And, Johnny gave him some good advice that someone gave to him, about worrying about family because family is most important. So he basically recycled that advice and gave it to Daniel. So then that's when Daniel decided he didn't want to have anything to do with, Terry Silver anymore, and he was going to throw in the towel. He went back to Stingray's house because when he went to Stingray's house the first time and Stingray didn't want to give up Terry Silver, Daniel got upset and scared him. Stingray fell over and he broke his PlayStation. And then after he broke his, because he broke his PlayStation, Daniel was like, I don't give a damn about your PlayStation. But after talking to Johnny, he kind of had a change of heart, and then he bought the guy a brand new PlayStation, and he was going to give it to him as an apology, because as of this moment, Daniel was like, yo, I'm out. And then it was at that moment where Terry Silver actually came around the corner, and he was just like, oh, and I want to know, does this guy have cameras everywhere? It's like, how does he know? Like, every time Daniel does something, Terry Silver's like, I saw that, you know, and he was just like, oh, you thought you can get Stingray to talk, you know? He was, and then that's when Daniel told him, he was like, look, bro, he was like, yo, I'm out. He said, look, you won. I concede. I waved the white flag. He's like, whatever you want to do. And then he was just like, oh, no. He was like, it's too late for you to quit, Daniel. He was like, it'll never be over. He's like, you know, it'll never be over till I get what I want. And then he was like, what do you want? He was like, I want your I mean, he basically said he wants his wife. Like, for lack of a better term, he wants his wife. And then Daniel got mad, and then he charged at him. And then we got a fight between Terry Silver and Daniel's son. And that was actually pretty cool. It was nice to see Daniel let loose, but his emotion and his anger got the best of him. And we had flashbacks of when he was actually training in Cobra Kai. And, you know, and then because of that, Daniel wasn't the person, you know, that he's supposed to be. He didn't have that Miyagi in him. He had the Cobra in him. And because that wasn't him, Terry Silver was able to beat him at the Cobra Kai game. And Terry Silver whooped his ass and left him laying, you know, in a pool of his own disgrace. And then he walked away. And he was like, it'll never be over, Daniel. He was like, because what I got next will blow your mind. And then Daniel had to, like, pick his dead carcass up off the floor and crawl home. Now, here's the part of the episode that actually made me laugh. Because I said in the last review, the hot wife, she went to her mom's house and she took the children. Come to find out, she's best friends with the redhead who was the female Karate Kid in the Karate Kid saga. Her and Daniel were cool at one point, and the redhead is the one that introduced Daniel to his now wife. So the two of them were having drinks at a bar. The kids were at the bar as well. The son was actually telling Samantha how he used to be a bully, and then now he's getting bullied by the person he was bullying. And then that's when Sam was just like, hey, she was like, maybe I can teach you some karate. And then he was like, I thought you quit the karate thing. And then she was just like, yeah, but I just kind of needed a break. So to see her teach her brother, that's actually going to be pretty cool to see if we get montages or, you know, things of that happening, so he can better defend himself. So now it's going to be this whole big thing between him and the black kid. And I kind of want to see that, but I don't want to see the black kid lose though. So then while they're at the bar, the adults are at the bar talking, and then some old mean girls from back in the day showed up. They said to the wife, they were like, oh, back in the day, weren't you like the baseball bat brawler? I forgot what the word was, but basically, because she told that story to Daniel like in earlier seasons where like she got into something and like, no, because she said that her dad was having an affair with a teacher and she took like a baseball bat to that person's car. And I guess everybody in the town found out, so they gave her a nickname like Becky with a bat or something like that. And then, you know, that's when the friend got up and she was like, leave her alone. And then she was like, what are you going to do, bitch? And then she was like, up yours, tramp stamp. And then like the mom's club got into a fight. And she's sitting here, she talked all that ish in the last episode. She was like, oh, Daniel, no one has time for your petty disputes and your petty old school beef. And why don't you just grow up and be an adult? And here she go fighting in a damn bar in front of her kids. And then it got to a point where like one woman held her foot, two women held her arms, and then the blonde chick was gonna punch her in the face. And then Sam came out of nowhere and kicked the girl up against the bar, and then all of them did and didn't pay the tab. I thought that was hilarious. So now she understands more, and also after having the conversation with her friend, she understands more where Daniel's coming from. So now she's gonna do her wifely duty and support her husband as they try to take down Terry Silva and Cobra Kai. And also, during the Miguel Robbie fight, before the fight happened, Robbie had said to him, it was something like, he was like, oh, if me and him fight, he's just going to get his ass kicked. And then Miguel was like, ain't nobody afraid of you, runner up. And I started dying because I said like 2 episodes ago, Robbie is like the ultimate runner up, and I'm gonna need him to finally win a damn tournament. But yeah, that was pretty much the end of the episode. And then in the final scene, when they show Daniel laying in bed, you know, being with his wounds being attended to, then Johnny Lawrence shows up again at the end of the episode. He comes to the LaRusso house because Johnny Lawrence is back, and now Johnny Lawrence and Daniel's son are gonna team up, and they're gonna help take down Silva and Cobra Kai. And thank you all for tuning in. So this is and I also forgot, then Tori, in the final scene, Tori admitted that she was the one who was sending Daniel clues to try to take down Terry Silver. And she also said that she was tired of living the lie, and that, you know, Cobra Kai needs to be taken down and she doesn't know what to do. And then an old familiar voice said, don't worry, I got you, kid. Terry Silver's going down. And it was Sensei Kreese all along. So Sensei Kreese is back. Who is he, a good guy now? Like, did he reform? Just because he had one moment of remorse with Tori in the season finale last year, like, that doesn't mean he's paid for all the sins. That it's like, I'm not looking at Sensei Kreese like, oh my god, Sensei Kreese is back, he's a good, no, like, he's still a piece of shit. But anyway, if he can help take down Terry Silver, who's a bigger piece of shit, then we can get back to basics and see where all this goes from here. And thank you for tuning in. Yeah, so I'm getting into this now. Like I was enjoying it, but now I'm like into it. So I gotta hurry up and pump these reviews out quicker so we can get to the end of Cobra Kai. But share your thoughts, questions, and or concerns down below. What do you think of this particular episode of Cobra Kai? Where do you think it's gonna go from here? Only talk about this particular episode, please, and do not spoil it for me towards the ending. So that was it, guys. So until next time for some more Cobra Kai action, take care, and until we meet again without this, yeah.